low layer, dude. I think that it sells it. It sells this transition to me. Like if I wasn't sold on this song by this point, I would probably like, let's just say I was liking the song. I feel like that low layer would be like, okay, pretty fucking sick. Because then the chorus hits, you're like, damn, that's a catchy chorus again. Tells a sense of progression lyrically. The first time it goes through this, it's you say I need to do XYZ. So now this time it's I need to do XYZ, like you're talking to yourself. So you got this advice or this information. You're now telling yourself this is what you have to do. You have to apply this information. And then by the end of the song, it's you need to. So now you're sharing what you received to help somebody else. That was kind of the story with this song. You're in a bad place. You get help from somebody. You do the work. You get better. Now you're in a position to do the same for somebody else that is where you were. So now I think we can get into the Face It Studio Breakdown. Okay, Studio Breakdown for Face It. This was the first song that we put out with Cody Crook. I had 90% of this song instrumentally written. So this song originally, I believe, had a pretty different intro. I'm pretty sure it started out just with the riff and no tracks. It was just bare bones. I think like this. Or it was just the guitar and then it turned into the band. I don't know. It was pretty rough. I was going for like a rock band, just like not like too many tracks or production elements, like just here's a riff and then the band comes in and it was going to be like a rock song. But as I was putting it together, I'm like, kind of boring. Like it's cool, but I do want more electronic elements. Kind of the direction we've been going for a long time. But Cody is also a huge EDM fan. There's like all types of EDM is like his second favorite genre outside of metalcore. So he also liked electronic elements too. I was like, well, then maybe we should just do the old classic, start with the chorus, but just in a different way. So by that point, we already wrote all the vocals and that, I don't know why I said it like the vocals. And we went to, like, I just put the vocals at the beginning, but then made the beat around the vocal. But we want to start off with the song. I think it's just a bass drop. Big long bass drop, some 808s, which is just the chords of the chorus. And then I added an octave. I like when 808s do that. It's the same note, just 12 semitones up. And then we got a hi-hat. And this was the tricky part too, was, okay, before I even get into that, I'm remembering some stuff. So we had a version of this that we sent to Steve Sobchak, who is a huge primary writer for Ice Nine Kills. Page's old band recorded with him once, I think, but they still stay in contact. So I was like, yo, you want to put your touch on this? And he really liked it. And he was like, maybe the beginning needs a little bit of work, like some hi-hats or like different sounds, because I had like a different drum kit, electronic kit, and he wasn't super into the sound or the tone of it. So he was like, maybe try something more modern. It sounded a little dated. And then he had a couple ideas. I think the breakdown itself was just the breakdown. And he was like, the second half of the breakdown really needs a lot of work as far as like making it interesting. He's like, it's a good breakdown, but it does just repeat and it's kind of boring by the time you get to the second half. So add some sort of synth or something there. So he kind of gave notes like that, and then I wrote what based on his notes. So for this intro, though, I played around with, like, I came up with a pattern for the hats to do, and then I also found in my library I have so many drum kits that I went through and found a hand of like 6 or 7 different hi-hat sounds, and I did a bounce of every single combination. So it was like pattern 1, sound 1, pattern 1, sound 2, yada yada, sound 6, or pattern 3, sound 7. And I did the same thing with the snares. But we ended up choosing this hat and that pattern because I really like the crispiness of it, and it's like really short. And then adding a phaser and a pan phaser or something on it. And then we chose, I think this snare is like 3 or 4 different snares stacked on top of each other with just different pitches and sounds to them to create this. This is like a and a, and you can kind of see in the waveform here, they're a little different each time. Where's the very first one? Like this one is a little different than this because I think I had, let's just say 3 snares going for this first hit, but then the second hit I took out one of the snares to give it a different tone, and then just 1 snare was going on the offbeat hit. So it's just playing with a combination of the snare tones. And then 1 brand new snare just for a little back hit. It's really, really quiet, but I feel like those offbeat snares add a lot. So when you put all that together. And we have a riser to like build it up. Where is it? I didn't want it to cut to just vocals. So having like a little ching shimmer thing just bleed into the background. And then another to bring in the actual band part with a reverse slam and a hit. That's all that's going on with the tracks. Drums got nothing. Guitar, I don't think it's baked into the file here. No, so it's just the chorus guitar, but we had like a low pass or a high pass filter. I forget what one it is, but we just automated it to change as the guitar was coming in. So it's supposed to be like darker and then get brighter to bring in the song, but unfortunately it's not baked in here. And then this lead guitar is just, I think it's just an octave. Yep, very, very simple. That's all we got on the intro for the instrumental. And then it's just this one vocal here. When life bleeds me dry, it's easy to fake it. Which is from the last chorus, because technically we have a lyric change there. How's the original chorus, the actual other choruses go? When life leaves me dry, I just want to fake it. And then this is changed to easy to fake it. But I really liked his delivery on this one. It was a little more clean. Although this is a more accessible song, when the riff first kicks in, it has such a good punch to it. Appreciate it. That's exactly what I think. Exactly what I think. This is more along the lines of like our Losing Control or Bloodshot, where it's pretty rock, it's pretty radio, it's pretty Octane, friendly. But then there is the core element of it, which if you don't like that kind of music, then obviously you're not going to like this song because that's the type of music this is. But if you like radio stuff, you're going to like this song. And if you like heavier stuff too, there's a bit of that here. So it's like a harder, heavier radio. But when we did the breakdown, that was almost my intention with that. I wanted something very simple that had a groove. It wasn't necessarily, this is heavy and complicated. It's a groove, which is exactly what we did with Losing Control. We wanted a very simple breakdown after the second chorus that was just a groove, but it's heavy. But that's exactly what we did on this song too. But anyway, yeah, we wanted a radio filter for his vocal, because when it was just a regular vocal tone, it sounded kind of goofy. But that helped bring a dynamic in from this intro part to I'm dying to become like you, where it's a regular vocal and then all the harmonies. And without that delay too, had to have that delay. Listen to this. Feels a little empty. So that little delay glues it all together. Oh, I didn't even know this is in here. Sounds like there's a clip. Not supposed to be in there. So this is straight from the chorus. A main. I'm dying to become like you. love his delivery on that. Did it like through his teeth, gritty. I'm dying. I'm dying to become like yeah. And then yeah. I love the way he has breath because he has good compression and support. So he does that naturally, but like if I tell him to enhance how much breath he lets out at the end, he has so much that he can really exaggerate it, and I just love when he does that. I'm dying to become like yeah. What's this? Harmony 1? Oh, it looks like we're missing a harmony. Or wait. Oh, I just don't have these. Okay. So this is R2, R3. There we go. I'm dying to become like you. That's my harmony. Like left and a right. I'm dying to become like you. And then we have a left and a right of this harmony. I'm dying to become like you. Oh, so that's just like a double, basically. It's the same thing as the main, but it's not as. I'm dying to. It's more dying. It's more open mouth. I'm dying to become like you. And then what's this? I'm dying to become like you. Just a octave, low octave, and then a low scream. I'm dying to become like you. And it looks like we have some scream layers on it too. I'm dying to become like you. More of a open mouth, little bit higher low, rah, and kind of a raw at the beginning. Rah, I'm dying. I'm dying to become like you. Versus more like I'm dying to become like you. And then what's this? A high scream. Okay, so then we go into the riff. Which I think the groove is good, but this snare hit is what really adds to it. So I think this is the extra hit. If I took that out. Oh wait, no. This is the extra hit, sorry. Like, it's kind of weird. So I think what makes the riff groovy is the snare hit right at the end of the notes. And because there's not, I don't know why I'm using my finger. When there's not a pause in this part of the riff, having the extra couple kick hits and snare in there kind of feels like the drums and the guitars and bass are doing something together. So if it was just the same groove pattern for this part, again, still works, but I really like those little touches where there's a pause here and a pause here and a pause here, but there's not a pause here. So because there's not a pause here, the drums are going to do something different to match what the guitars are doing. And this was important to me. Instead of just snare hit, da, da, da. I think they call it like a flam, where it's like, it's one hit, but it's technically two, where both hands hit the snare, but purposely off time from each other. So it's like a pla, 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 pa, pa. Instead of pa, 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 it's pla, pla. You can kind of see on here, there's two hits. Love that. For some reason, the flams add so much energy. And then because the drums did that, and it's just repeating, going back into the same riff, I really wanted now that it's the second time around, it would be boring if it just stayed the same. So you got to give a sense of progression. So we have a lead added. Very, very, very simple. And it looks like we got another lead here. Which was kind of, I was inspired by our own song, the lead guitar in Bloodshot. Kind of had that similar rhythm. But I did have kind of a disturbed vibe in my head when I was making this. So putting like phasers and other stuff on it. And then also when this part hits, some of these are really hard to see. Add back in add back in that hi-hat from the intro. And we added a synth. And I wish I could remember exactly how I made this synth. This originally wasn't in here. It was just the lead guitar. But after Steve had suggested adding more synths to the breakdown, I made this synth. And then I'm like, oh wait, if I put this in the background on the riffs earlier or just throughout the song, it adds to that section too. So I just pasted the synth there. But I know it's from Ava Music Group. Trailer Synth is the plugin, and I don't remember what preset, but I know it's just like one note. And it had like a like a pumping sound to it, but I didn't want just straight on the beat, so I think I added like a tremolo or some other movement plugin to get the certain pattern of feel that it had, because I didn't want it to cut off all the way, so it's just ducking in volume a little bit. And then I think I added an octave of a different synth above it that had like a, and then I blended both together and put that pumping effect on both. So it's technically two synths, but they're mixed down to be one synth. You can almost hear something else in the background there. Yeah. Little melody. Okay, verse 1. Cut the guitars, just bass and drum. Freaking groove. I wanted something that was like super rock, super just straight up groove vibe, and a little bit of for Paige to shine on bass, because throughout our catalog we have a few moments where bass does have a moment that stands out, but I don't think the only time we really did a song like this was Don't Go, because the verses are just drum bass vocal, so I wanted to do something like that too. And that's one of my favorite parts about this song, is a little on the guitar. Just hand over the strings and just all it is. But I fucking love it, dude. Without it, it's one of those things. It's totally okay to not have it, but it's just a little teeny thing that I think adds some personality. Like, hey, guitar's still here. And it almost, to me, signals more energy is coming. It's not like, oh, we had this sick opening riff and then it's drum and bass, so we're like kind of chilling out for a second. It's like, no, it's like there's still like a little bit of energy under it because that guitar is present. It's like, hey, guitar's not going away and it's going to be coming back here, but in a very Linkin Park way, where it's just like root notes. Dan-dan, 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 which we also did in Losing Control in the verses. It's just dan, dan, dad, dan, very faint Linkin Park. But for the drums, I really like how it starts off more closed hi-hat. When the bass goes down to that lower note, then the hi-hat opens for just a little second. And then open the hi-hat again. Ding, little bell hit. And then another flam. Latin. And then we go into open hi-hat. I think that adds energy. Going from closed hi-hat with more hits to add to the movement, and then on the next half, it just goes into open. It's like, oh, hell yeah. That's where people, I think, are going to start headbanging or bobbing their heads more. But if it was open hi-hat the entire time, I feel like that would be a little weird, because it's like big energy and then still energy, but smaller. It's like you kind of want to, if you're trying to tell like a story and bring people through an experience, then it's like having it be a big intro going into a slightly smaller section, but not too small. And then it builds again and again. So yeah, that's why I like that. And then also the guitars have the more notes going on. Oh wait, where are we? Here. So now it's just on the notes. But no guitar on that part, because then it kind of gives a little space for the drum fill to come in. And then it's also cool because it goes right back to just drum and bass, so that this transition section coming up, the drum and bass go away, and then it's just guitar. So it's like a lot of the elements play off of each other on this song. Even when we go open hi-hat and introduce the guitar, it still feels like it's missing something. That's why I added a clean guitar there. It still works, but something's missing. And I'm like, I need a synth, I need a guitar lead, I need something to add to the progression here. So then when I was just kind of going through clean guitar tones and I came across this one, I'm like, this sounds really cool. And then I was trying to find like a chord that would work. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, it dawned on me. I'm like, when I started playing this, not in the same way I'm playing as far as pattern, but just the note, dun, 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 that it clicked in me. I'm like, why does this sound so familiar? Because it's Limits by Bad Omens. They have a very similar groove, and it's just drum and bass, some guitar, and a clean guitar that hits those notes, and it's in the same key too, I think. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm like, bro, okay. But then I had to reference it because I'm like, is this too similar? Because if that's the case, then I don't want to copy it. But technically, they have a different groove because it's less notes. It's like if you heard them back to back, they are different. But when I point that out, you can kind of hear it, right? Like. Took what you wanted and dumbing the name to the bottom. So much unsaid left me for dead. Forget you on your name. It's just that little part. The rest of it is not, because that was not my intention going into this. It's just how it came out, and it didn't dawn on me until I started messing around with clean guitar. I'm like, bro, this is like the same vibe as Limits, which I'm like, sick. Because ever since I heard that song, right when it came out, I was like, I would love a song like this. Which, side tangent, is like, it's a bummer. Because I really wish I would have actually wrote with Noah more. I'm sure some of you guys know, which maybe you guys do, the ones that are in the stream right now. But I worked with Noah a little bit on our, like, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit on our first album. Because they had just come out too. And, he had some post about wanting to co-write with bands, so he listened to some of our demos and said, "Oh, this is the only thing I would change." And he was just like, "I don't need money for that." It was like barely anything. And I'm like, "Well, can I at least send you like $8 for your time or something?" And he's like, "Nah, it's fine, man." I'm like, "Are you sure? Because like $8 is like a burrito from Chipotle." And he's like, "Okay, fine, send me $8 and I'll get some Chipotle." But then when we were doing our second album, we actually flew out there, because this is before Finding God, before God Finds Me, before their second album came out. We flew out there to work on our second album while they were working on their second album. And we recorded Too Far Gone and Decay with Noah and Jolly and stayed there for the couple days. But we already had the bulk of it written. So he just had a couple, or they had a couple things that they were like, hey, we should change this or do this. And we thought it was great. But then when we left, Noah was like, yo, we should actually write music from scratch together. Because like I really liked what you guys did and it was fun to work on it. So like we should work together on stuff. And I'm like, yes, I would love that. But because we already had the rest of it, like in works, and I think they were also working on their record too. So he's like, I can't for now, but when you work on new stuff, let me know. And then I was like, yeah, because I would love. Then I think later they put out Limits, So when I heard that song, I'm like, dude, this song is so sick. I love this song. I love this direction. This is exactly what I want for bots. So like whenever we do write something, not that we need to copy you, but like that's the vibe that I would like for us too. And he's like, yeah, just hit me up when you're ready. And then it just for some reason never came around to it. Because I do remember a conversation with Noah when we were recording Too Far Gone. They were working on Finding God Before God Finds Me, and his whole thing was because we realized his old band recorded with Johnny Frank. We recorded with Johnny Frank too. So there was like a connection there. But then he was saying how like for this record, Finding God Before God Finds Me, they didn't want to have any co-writers. They didn't, at least I'm pretty sure, maybe that changed before it actually came out, but like at the time at least, I'd have to check the writing credits, but he said they wanted to produce it themselves, like just in-house, not have other people say whatever. So when we were going into Bloodshot, I remember being like, okay, I kind of want to do that too. Let's see what we can do just us. So Bloodshot was the first record where it was 100% literally no one else's opinions. Well, I'm gonna take that back because we did do that, but then I hit Noah up again. I'm like, yo, did you put your ear on some of these tracks just to see? And then he had a couple ideas, and we took the tail end. It was like 3 notes. There's like 3 notes in the chorus of Burn the Foundation that Noah's version, we were like, oh, this paired with our melody that we had, that was sick. And he's like, okay, cool. And it was so small. He's like, I don't need writing points on that one either. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, something, it just like never really worked out to like actually sit down and write from scratch together. Which is like, obviously, now you're like, damn, really wish I would have. Because I just, just being around them just the little bit that we were, I was like, these two are such a good duo, Jolly and Noah. Like, goddamn, they're just great at writing. They have a great ear for just writing music. So I was like, these are the people I need to work with. But then it just kind of became like, oh, I kind of want to do what they're doing now, where they do 98% of it themselves and then just have touches, because then you also get to keep most of the percentage yourself. I'd still love to write with them, even though, yeah, it's definitely not a burrito anymore. It'd probably be a pretty penny. But yeah, little side tangent there. In fact, I don't remember where we were on this, but oh yeah, this sounded like Limits by Bad Omens. Oh, and this was important to me too. I didn't want these guitars cut super harsh. I wanted the natural like sound of my palm hitting the strings. Oh, see, oh, there's a little bit of extra string noise in there. So maybe that could have technically gotten cut, but there's very important. I don't like it when guitars are cut too hard. Okay, so then vocals. Freaking, oh, wrong button. Gosh, dang it. Love this verse. We wanted a radio filter.
How can
That breath, important.
How can I get back up if I can barely breathe? How can I
Breathe without the delays.
How can I get back up if I can barely breathe? How can I trust myself to heal what's underneath?
It's fine. But you add in those delays, man.
Breathe.
It just adds so much life. Little fun fact, originally the melody was I won't lie, I'm sick of May. It was basically a ripoff of Linkin Park. Of walking in your shoes, I'm sick of May. But not only was it like, it's kind of lame because it just copies Linkin Park, should do something else, but also when we changed the melody to go sick of May and hitting that like low like major note, that made it transition into this next section better. Instead of being melodic, it goes kind of dark and heavy, and then it fits going from a melodic verse into this this like riff, but without the harmonies.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? I won't lie, I'm sick of me.
Harmonies are very, very cool for this part, but let's start at the mains.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time?
Yeah, the only thing that was kind of a bummer on this song, you can hear that it like kind of popping throughout the entire vocal, because when trying to time align, I wanted to save money and do it myself. Because we only pay for a mix master. I do the editing. This was my first time doing the editing, and it's kind of annoying in the Studio One, the DAW that I have, when you're doing time aligning and stretching or shortening, whatever. Sometimes it adds like a tiny little popping sound when you stretch audio. So like when you had 2 takes and I'm trying to like align it, every time there was a line that I added, it would add a tiny little glitch, because I didn't have the plugins in the software that is kind of industry standard, where it has better algorithms that don't do that. But I didn't really notice it until we got to the mixing, and it was, all the compression and other effects on the chain that Sebastian uses, where it really emphasized it. And it was either go back to the original stems and then pay him more money so then he can edit them, to where it's like, in the end, I didn't really feel like spending the money because money was tight anyway, but I really didn't feel like it was that big of a deal because I couldn't tell in the mix. When it was actually in the mix, I was like, I can't hear it at all. But he told me, when we sat down and did revisions, he told me, he's like, hey, I noticed this issue, so like in the future do this. So then when I heard it soloed, I'm like, oh, I can hear all the kind of artifacts.
Am I worth the burden?
It sounds like a little weird on its own.
Am I worth the time? I won't lie, I won't lie, I'm sick of me.
It's like almost like subtle distortions and stuff too. But anyway, I really noticed on that sick of me. So autotune does not pick up distorted vocals very well. Definitely for like more clean singing. And the thing is it's really nice that Cody can hit the notes or get very close with his distorted singing, so that there's not like a bunch of like artifacts made by forcing a note into something that it's not registering. But I noticed on this line, sick of me, on both takes, I think the dub is pretty spot on, but on the main, he was a little sharp. And then when I tried to bump it down, it created some artifacts. But then I'm like, hold on. So I just took it off, and the slight sharpness that he had with it, mixed with the dub that was right on pitch, gave it like a sound. And I'm like, oh, this is almost kind of making it sound like 2000s a little bit, which is what this song kind of is in a way. It's like a modern 2000s rock song. And so I kind of like that. It's like slightly off in pitch, but it adds, like, I don't know, I like it.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? Won't lie, I won't lie, I'm sick of me.
And I didn't want the breaths on both of these. See how this is cut?
Lie, I'm sick.
Only wanted that on one.
Sick of.
And you can tell I wasn't the best at editing, because you can hear certain words get cut off.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? Won't lie,
You don't even hear I.
I won't lie.
Worth the time, won't lie.
The time won't lie, I won't lie, I'm sick.
And you don't even hear sick.
Sick.
It's like the S is really cut off. So I've learned a lot about editing, but since then, yeah, these harmonies are sick, dude.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? Sick of me.
Yeah, I love that high note that he does in there. But then we cut the harmonies for just that one line. I think it's just the low octave that goes all the way through. I think cutting the harmonies on this line made this line feel more impactful. So it's not just harmony the whole time. These are just low octaves.
Am I worth the burden?
Oh, no, this is a different harmony.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? I won't lie.
Oh, big edit mistake there.
The time. I won't lie.
Holy moly.
The time. I won't lie. I won't lie. I'm sick of me.
See how like these harmonies are a little off from each other too? It really added to that sound.
I won't lie. I'm sick of me. Am I worth the burden?
Oh, these are just dubs.
The time? Sick of me.
Yeah, just the harmonies together.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? I won't lie, I'm sick of me.
Love that. And then if we do just vocals.
Am I worth the burden? Am I worth the time? I won't lie, I'm sick of me.
Love that. Love everything about that part. Okay. So in this transition piece, we just have this like really dry, kind of like cheap sounding hi-hat and clap. Oh yeah. This was the clap and hi-hat that I had originally. Or Steve was like, yo, this kind of sounds dated. Do something more modern. But then for this section, I was like, okay, I want to keep it for this part though, because it makes it sound so like small, which is what the goal was. So then the next part feels bigger. So it's like a really cheap hi-hat and clap sound. But then I think that paired super well with, why are these so small? A lo-fi guitar. So it took all the body out of the guitar tone and it makes it sound really small. If I took out this altogether, I think that drives it, that hi-hat. It keeps that tempo and the rhythm going. And then on the vocals, it's just some, oh, we got these delay throws in the background that are ping-ponging. Which all these like prints that I have, those are lines that I specifically take part of his vocal, put it on a separate track, move it to where I want the delay to happen, and then that file gets sent to Sebastian, and then he adds like a delay on the delay. That's why you can kind of hear, where is it? It's very quiet, you can hear it. So there's a delay on the delay, but like right here, here, and here, I copy and pasted the vocal, and then just every delay, I just turned it down a little bit so it gets quieter each time. And then I bounce that and send it to him, and then he applies the delay to the delay.
You say I need to break. You say I need to.
Which is just me talking in a fry vocal. You say I need to break. That's all it is, with a lot of distortion.
You say I need to break.
Which I do remember the lyrics on this part being challenging. It's just what came to mind was break down, bum bottom bottom bum bum break down. Like that rhythm was the hook that I had in mind, which later became like, oh, break down, keep the world out. That should be gang vocals and stuff. But then we're like, maybe we can find lyrics that help make break down fit. So eventually I figured out what to do with it, but originally, yeah, it was just break down, and I couldn't figure out what words to use, but I know break down just sounded natural. So then for this filler section, I'm like, do we write new lyrics, or is it like, what do we really do here? And then we just settled on, well, not settled, we chose to, you say I need to break, you say I need to, so we repeated ourselves to bring it into...
To break down all of the walls I built to keep the world down. I can't save of a life without the weight of feeling worthless. Never been the one that making progress. If I need to believe then fucking
I ran out of breath by the end there. Yeah, so we had layers.
Break down, keep the world out.
And then I layered on myself for this part, because just having
all of the walls.
I didn't really, like, it felt like a frequency range was missing from my vocal, so I added in these layers.
All of the walls I built to.
Just like a slightly lower pitched version.
But I can't save of a life.
So I didn't do a shifter or anything, I just screamed a little bit lower. So then when you put those together.
All of the walls I built to. But I can't save of a life.
And then these gang vocals, which this is everybody in the band and then our wives and girlfriends, all of us in the same room doing it.
Break down. Keep the world out.
Best gang vocals we ever had. And then I took one of Cody's extra screams to put it in there too. Because without these gang vocals...
To break down all of the walls I built to keep the world out.
Sounds so dull and boring without it. Then we have scream layer here. It looks like then fucking prove it to me. And this one's just fucking prove it to me. And then this one's just prove it to me. Oh, that's the main line. That's why. Okay. I fucking prove it to me. Yeah. So we got a power low and then like a growl low. But on the music side, this part's a little different. We got that lead melody. And then the second time around, I did the same thing, but I pitch shifted it up an octave. Just gave it a little bit more of a frequency change. Make it feel a little bit different. A little bit different drum fills on this part though. So the kick drum, I wanted it to kind of loosely follow the faster vocal pattern. It's just the timing. Instead of being at the end of the bar, it's in the middle of the bar. That's really cool. I love that. It builds into the chorus by going on solid double kick. Like crash, hat, while solid double kick. And just a nice little tom fill. Alright, now we're at the chorus. Love this chorus. So, starting off on tracks, bass drop, and a gunshot slam thing. And then here's one synth that's going on in the background. I think it's just a loop. Yeah, if I remember correctly, this is in a plugin, like a cinematic loops plugin, and then I just added some extra distortion and filtering to give it a certain sound. But the dee doo 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 dee doo 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 is like a pre-made loop, and I thought it fit really well. And then this is going on underneath that. And this is almost the same thing. I think it's from the same pack too. Is the loop, but then I added all the effects and the pumping feeling and the reverbs and all that. Put those two together. So that's just looping in the background, and halfway through I added some strings for some more cinematic vibes, but instead of just coming in on the bar, I introduce it in the previous bar. So and this was really annoying. I don't know why this happened. But every time I would export it, pumping, like, it would clip, or not clip, whatever, like audio would just drop out. So there's don't know why, but I couldn't figure out why my computer was doing that, but I'm like, you're not gonna hear it in the mix anyway, whatever. Yeah, when you got all that going on in the background. So that's what's going on under the hood. If I take that all away. It works. It's a good little rock and roll chorus, but add in these cinematic synth and string elements and so I think it adds a lot and it gives it more identity. Guitars. Well, before we get to guitars, drums. Really like the groove. I like the extra hat hits that I do. little ghosted on that one. So it's like the groove is very simple, but then there's teeny tiny little technical things that change every bar. Yeah. And the kick drum on each beat just for a little bit to give it kind of a groove too. Doom, doom, doom. And I remember this transition I worked on a lot, trying to dial in a final one that really felt good and smooth. And it all came down to the drums. I'm like, something's not as smooth as it can be. And then it came to the drum fill. And then kick in a hi-hat, kick in a crash, verse. Just a did. That's what made it flow into the verse, because is what we do for the breakdown, and that's what I had here. I'm like, nah, it doesn't really work. It needs those extra little drum hits to keep going into the chorus. Alright, the vocals. We got the main.
When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it.
Okay, so here's something that I thought was really cool. So we went into Cody Pauly's studio to record this all on the same page. Like, hey, we worked out a melody. This is the melody. These are the lyrics. This is what we're recording. But then when we got into the booth, Cody, on accident, he just started singing it this way instead. I'm like, that's not the right melody. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he sang it the way it's supposed to be. And we're like, hold on. You still have the take of him doing it the other way around? And then he did it the other way. I'm like, that's actually way better and way catchier. You just randomly did that on accident. He said, yeah. So I'm like, we should change it to that because that's way better. Because I think it started before the hit. Whenever, instead of when life, it was whenever life, pause, bleeds me dry. So it was like, whenever life bleeds me dry. Well, that was a harmony, but he changed it to not before the beat hits, and a half beat into the chorus. When life bleeds me, and that little change made it so much catchier, dude. Whenever life bleeds me dry. It works, it's fine, but changing it to when life bleeds me dry, so much catchier. And it also helped because then there wasn't overlapping vocals, so then it made the chorus feel more like stand out. Because this was a section of the song where Steve, when he was going through with his notes, he was like, don't go straight into the chorus, give some breathing room for the first chorus. And I was a little hesitant on that because I really liked how smooth it flowed from almost what you would expect to be the chorus, because it's that riff again and it's familiar and it kind of has that hook. So you think that's the chorus, but then an actual like melodic chorus comes in, and I just like, prove it to me when life, there's no overlap. It just flows right into the next line. But anyway.
When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it, but I gotta face it. Every single day I keep running away to avoid the truth. I'm dying to become like you.
Fucking awesome melody. I love it so much. Harmony 1.
When life bleeds me dry.
Oh, and this was weird because we had harmonies, but then when Sebastian was mixing it, he was like, something about these harmonies is not cutting it for me. He's like, it's really boring. And he tried to sing a different harmony, and then I heard his idea. I'm like, okay, let me try and do that. And I couldn't quite figure it out. So I was kind of all over the place and had to use tuning to like really, oh, there's a harmony in it. Okay, sounds good.
When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake.
You can kind of hear it right there.
I
like was way off, so it's harsh tuned.
I just wanna fake it, but I gotta
And that was way off.
fake it, but I gotta face it. When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it, but I gotta face it. I keep running away to avoid the truth. I'm dying to become like you.
And what else we got?
When life bleeds me dry.
Oh, this was the higher one.
When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it, but I gotta face it. 'Cause every single day I keep running away to avoid the truth. When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it, but I gotta face it. 'Cause every single day I keep running away to avoid the truth.
That's a pretty good harmony. And then what's this one sound like on its own?
When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it, but I gotta face it.
Well, that's even the same note.
I gotta face it. 'Cause every single day I keep running away to avoid the truth.
Yeah, this part's stronger than this part, I think. And then we have another harmony.
Life bleeds
Oh, that's just a double.
me dry.
Yeah.
I just wanna
And then an
fake
octave.
it, but I gotta face it. 'Cause every single day I'm dying to become like you.
Yo. All right, so all the vocals.
When life bleeds me dry, I just wanna fake it, but I gotta face it. 'Cause every single day I keep running away to avoid the truth. I'm dying to become like you.
Oh yeah, the scream layer on there. But these delays, man, I'm telling you, take these delays away.
To avoid the truth. I'm dying to become like you.
It's cool, but you throw in this delay. Adds a lot, dude.
Avoid the truth. I'm dying to become like you. I need your
And then there's another printed delay.
truth.
Oh, that's just a literal like copy paste of the delay. So both those together. It's like a double delay. So that there's kind of like a rhythm in there. Tro, tro, tro. Do, 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 do. So then structurally speaking, to make this different than the first verse, we had, instead of going just drum and bass again, just keep the clean guitar. We're going to start with that. So it's where the second or first verse was ending. We're starting with that with all the elements in there. But then to also kind of separate it a little bit and give it more of a mood, so it's not the exact same thing you heard before, adding this just humming pad. And then it's just looping in the background. This part, dude, I loved writing this part. This was sick. So now the guitar's doing the same thing that the bass is doing. But the guitar's doing the same thing, I think just sounds so like metal, dude. But this was like the bullet for my Valentine lead that I loved writing. I'm like, I feel like it needs something. It still worked again, but I'm like, it needs something more. But then you give it a specific harmony. My God, and you put them both together. God. And originally it went diddling 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 diddling, ended on a high note, so the harmonized high note. sounded like Bullet. But Steve, when he was going through it, he was like, I would cut that very last note on that because it sounds cool, but it also sounds like very cheesy. It's like cheesy metal. Like, yeah, I can hear that. So then we just ended it before that high note because it also took your ear away. It like, because it was a high note, it kind of made that be a focal point when we don't want that to be the focal point. So all in all, it was just, yeah, let's cut that. And then you think it's going to go back into a chorus because it's the same thing as before the chorus, right? Double kick. Kick it. Nope. Now we're going back into the heavy riff. But with all the tracks going. So it still feels big because we just had, you know, we have this clean guitar, we have these guitar harmonies, we have this pad. It's like going and you're subverting expectations. I didn't want it to be something that you already heard before. So it is a section you've heard before, but with everything going so that it doesn't have the same, oh, it's small and then builds. It's just all there. And then just a slight drum fill change there. It's just like a double kick, snare, ride, bell hit, and then a little splash. And then technically this drum fill into the chorus is a little different because we used the same drum fill to bring into the pre-chorus riff breakdown chant part. That was the same fill that brought in the first chorus, and we just used it, so I didn't want to do it again so soon. So instead of more toms and then just like kick it on the snare, it starts off the same, but then it's just a snare roll like kind of adds more energy, I think. Can't really hear it on here, but it's supposed to be like a yeah. Okay, so vocals on the second verse.
I need your help, but not your sympathy.
So we wanted to keep the same lo-fi vocal radio thing as the first verse to maintain kind of a continuity thing, but then it felt a little weird to go, you know, the vocals were building and then it's the chorus, so you're like full voice belting, and then it's sometimes it works to go really small again, but it just felt a little weird to go.
I need your help,
Oh, sorry.
I need your help, but not your sympathy. Show me what it's like to live with dignity.
That's where we decided to let's do a high octave of it, so then there's more Cody to show off like what he can do.
I need your help, but not your sympathy. Show me,
I love that.
but not your sympathy. Show me what it's like to live with dignity.
What is life? The way.
Show me what it's like to live with dignity.
And then this too, the way he said
Sympathy.
birthday called for a really good delay throw. So if we take that off, get rid of these delays.
Help, but not your sympathy. Show me what it
Works. Delay throws are awesome, man.
not your sympathy. Show me what it's like to live with dignity.
I love that little bell hit in there too.
To live with dignity. Take my hand.
And then we were thinking, oh, you know what we should do? We could write more melody here, but I think it would be cool if, because I have other screaming sections and there's no screams over the breakdown, there's not really a section for Cody to scream at all. So we're like, it would be really cool if the second half of this, because it kind of gets a little more edgy sounding, if Cody did the vocals on that part. So it's like, especially as a first song with him, it's like, oh, this is our new vocalist. He can do low singing, he can do belting, high notes, and he can scream. So it's like showing the versatility that he has. So I think this was a great first song for us to do with him.
Take my hand and help me finally.
And I love the way he did that. Finally. It almost has a note in it. Finally.
Take my hand and help me finally say out the will inside despite the misery.
See, you can kind of hear it again in here. The stretching.
The misery.
Like that whole ending of the scream there, it sounds like there's artifacts in it. And I mean, you can't really tell in the mix, but it's like, damn it. It's like, maybe I should have just paid the money to have a professional do it. But, you know, what can you do when you're a broke boy trying to do metalcore? And then he layered with himself on this. And then it didn't make sense to go into another like section that built into this pre-chorus riff gang vocal thing, but it also didn't make sense to fit in. You say I need to break, you say I need to, where it's like, so I just took the
I need to
changed it. We slightly changed it. I need to instead of you say I need to. There's extra syllables that overlap with what he's doing. So we're like, we need to change the syllables to be shorter. So then it was like, I need to, because then it just tells a sense of progression lyrically. The first time it goes through this, it's you say I need to do XYZ. So now this time it's I need to do XYZ, like you're talking to yourself. So you got this advice or this information. You're now telling yourself this is what you have to do. You have to apply this information. And then by the end of the song, it's you need to. So now you're sharing what you received to help somebody else. That was kind of the story with this song. You're in a bad place, you get help from somebody, you do the work, you get better. Now you're in a position to do the same for somebody else that is where you were. And then I wanted it to be a little heavier for this, so I did a higher type scream.
We all have the walls I built to keep the world out. I believe. Doubt.
Help me believe. Then I wanted just the low to go.
Doubt.
Love instead of believe. Like open, believe. I wanted just the low to go love. More of an O shape on that vowel. But just that low layer, dude. I think that it sells it. It sells this transition to me. Like if I wasn't sold on this song by this point, I would probably like, let's just say I was liking the song. I feel like that low layer would be like, okay, pretty fucking sick. Because then the chorus hits, you're like, damn, that's a catchy chorus again. Without it, that works, but so cool. And then on the second chorus, we add in some screams. We have screams.
Just wanna fight, but I gotta fight.
Too many words. I had to take a breath.
I just wanna fight, but I gotta fight. Every single day I keep running away to avoid the truth.
And then because this is going into a breakdown and we're not going to do vocals over the breakdown, I think I did new layers. I did an additional layer. So instead of just two vocals or two screams underneath Cody, I did 3 screams underneath Cody, and I did different pitches that make it sound heavier. So I don't remember which one's which, but this is one that's underneath him.
I'm trying to become like you.
So I think that's probably the same actually as the first one. It's a low scream.
I'm trying to become like you.
A mid, and then this is the one I definitely redid to.
I'm trying to become like you.
So the high scream is what really makes that sound heavy. Without it,
I'm trying to become like you.
but I think the high scream is what's like, this is a breakdown, bitch.
I'm trying to become like you.
Yeah, this is a fun breakdown to go through. So just on tracks. This is the bass drop. It's a really long one. It tapers off. It's so low of a frequency that you don't really hear it towards the end, but when you're on a subsystem or something, like you can hear it. And then this loop is going on throughout the entire breakdown. Which the was a drum line that I had, but it was on a different drum kit. Like I went to go move something down to an electronic kit, but I accidentally moved the MIDI notes to a real drum kit. And I'm like, yeah, it actually sounds kind of cool. I like it on the real kit. Because when I took it away, I didn't like it. I'm like, there's something about these sounds of the hi-hat and the little like clink on the snare. I don't know what you call it, but it's like instead of hitting the snare, you just hit the rims. Thanks, baby. You got food for me? Thanks, baby. Okay, I am in the middle of doing something though, okay? It's fantastic tea. You're gonna crack the egg for me? Thank you. Or you're gonna put the egg in my tea? Ah. Oh, there's already an egg in my tea. Egg tea. Yummy. Raw egg tea. Even better. All right. Delicious. What is that? Applesauce? You're gonna put the applesauce in the tea? Okay. Wonderful. Oh, okay. Some eggplant. Just a whole eggplant right in the tea with applesauce and raw egg. And there is like a I don't remember what that was. I think it was some sort of loop that I just put a distortion filter on, and then the way the higher note in the loop made it go like it just made like a weird distorted sound, so I liked it. And I guess I just bounced it all as one thing for some reason. Here. And then this is the main thing that's going on through the entire breakdown. So it's the same thing throughout the whole thing, but I think that was a synth loop that was just like whatever the reverse of that melody is. Because I liked the synth, but then I reversed the file and added a lot of distortion, and that's what this is. So I think I could just reverse audio. Well, now it's going to sound weird with all the distortion, but... I don't know. Whatever, I reversed it and it sounded cool that way. So yeah, without that or this little loop thing. Like, it's just, that sounds so boring. I like the pattern, I like the guitar and everything, but it sounds boring. So you add in a little synth. See, it still sounds a little weird, so you add in this loop. Adds so much to me. And then this is where this wasn't in here, this wasn't in here, and this wasn't in here. It just kept going. There's a little bit of a change right there, but the bulk of it is just the exact same. And I think it's because this is more of a radio song that as soon as this breakdown hits, you're like, okay, this is just a breakdown to get us to the last chorus. Is basically all it is. So it needs to be interesting. Otherwise, just the idea on its own is boring. Okay, now it's going to be the verse. Okay, now it's the chorus. Okay, then it's the breakdown. That's just like really simple. And then we're back to the chorus again. Like, okay, this is just a radio song, whatever, next. But if it's interesting, it'll make everything else that you hear that you like cooler. So it's not like the world's best breakdown or anything, but I think adding all that stuff is great. But then there's this synth that I fade in. Which is from earlier. And I was like, okay, so there's one synth idea, guys, that we could add, or we could add this synth in there. And then they like both, so I'm like, okay, why not add both of them? Because this one isn't really audible, but the rhythm blends well with the other one, so it adds to what the other one has going on. Because I think this one, it's like a, I think it was like a, it was like a loop, and then I just cut a lot of it, and then I don't know, I did a lot of editing to it, but I think the melody was from a loop, but the rhythm is what I added to it or something like that. And this is in the background too. What's this? Oh, this is like the lead synth, because even with those two things in there, it does add. But when everyone was happy with that, I'm like, okay, I don't want to take this idea further because it feels like there might still be missing something, like some sort of hook or some sort of element that's like catchy, because the breakdown's kind of catchy with the groove and the pattern, but since the breakdown doesn't really change as it's going on, it's just the same thing. I'm like, I want this next section, because this isn't really a hook or like something that you would hum along to in the background. Like no one's gonna like hum along to that. So then I'm like, okay, let me do a lead synth and then come up with a melody on the keyboard, and that's what we got. Very simple. I'm like, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I want it to be something that you can just hum along to. Put a lot of distortion on it. And yeah, because now when you're doing this breakdown, at least when I listen to it, when it gets to this part, I'm just like, bing, boom, bing, boom, boom, bing. So it kind of helps you get more melodic back into this part. But before we move into the next section here, I really like the drums. I like doing that. I did that in Dragon Sickness one time. The double kick, snare, ride, splash, or a version of that where you do like hi-hat, ride, splash, or hi-hat, China, but it's like a is the rhythm. Boop, 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 boop. And you just change what the hits are, but there's like a, I think it's in the first verse of Dragon Sickness. Like I've used that in almost every song that we do, is that fill. I think the drum's a little interesting there, and this is where the guitars change just a little bit. And I think there's a harmony on there. Yeah. bit of a guitar lick in there, and then lo-fi guitar. Just cut from the chorus. No leads, no drums. So then we just have a riser into a drop. Then we go back into that 808 beat from the intro. So that's where it gets all connected. But the thing that's different on this one is we took one of the synths from the chorus. So it's not the exact same beat section as the intro. This synth makes it feel a little bit different. And now you can actually hear it too, because it's more of a focal point. It's not buried in the background for rhythm and stuff. Because when this section of the song comes in, it's like you hear that beep, boop, 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 even though you're listening to the lead vocal. Just makes it cool. I don't know. So this section was the hardest to finalize for this song because Nick Ocean, who was our A&R at the label, when he was listening to us, he was like, the song's great. The only thing is this transition into your last chorus. It feels weird. We had singing, we had just screaming, we had singing and screaming, we had like a ton of different things going on to make this last chorus work. And what we settled on, again, not settled, but was just cutting everything so it's just a raw vocal. Because even when it cut to just vocals, the delays and other processing on it, like it just sounded too big, to where it sounded really busy and a little messy. So when we cut all the produced elements of the vocal and it's just like one compressor or something on Cody's voice right in the middle, one vocal, it made it feel like it would explode. But since it's not what we originally recorded, so why is this cut up?
But it's time to face it. But it's time to face it.
I don't remember why this is cut up. I think the idea came after. But it's time to face. But it's time to... Maybe I don't remember exactly, but maybe it was this.
But it's time to
had a different melody, and then this started with a different melody.
Face it.
And then I cut together both of them.
But it's time to face it.
I don't remember why that's cut up like that, but because I know this wasn't our original idea. It wasn't until later.
But it's time to face it.
And then just the harmonies coming in on Face It.
Face it.
And then this was a different lyrics for this chorus. Again, to tell that sense of progression with the story. So there are different harmonies on this part too, because I did the harmonies in chorus 1 and 2 because we changed those because it was originally Cody's harmonies, but then for this last chorus, because it was different lyrics and everything, I'm like, actually, I like Cody's harmony on this. I don't even want to redo it. I think it sounds good. So these were his harmonies. Cause I don't think that's maybe this that's really weird that this got stretched when it's not supposed to come in until right there.
Every single day we'll find a way to make it through.
That's one harmony. Is this Cody Polly's harmony? Yeah, when we were done recording it, we were like, oh shoot, we forgot, because this harmony is in the other choruses, but since it's a different lyric, we couldn't just copy paste it. And it wasn't until we had left and Cody Polly was like, shoot, we didn't record that harmony, that one part of the line that has this harmony with the new lyrics. So then Cody just went and recorded through. All right, what else we got?
Every single day we'll
Just a dub and a low octave.
We'll find a way to make it through.
The leads.
'Cause every single day we'll find a way to make it through. A way to make
I love that.
it
Make it.
through.
And then delay throw again.
Through. I'm finally accepting the truth.
And this was sick. I'm so glad he was able to do this.
I'm finally accepting the truth. Accepting the truth.
That sounds bad.
Truth.
Damn, I guess we didn't catch that. So there's a, I think it's called meta tune, where it's like you put at the very end of your vocal chain, you can put on this tuning thing where it gives it like a pop production, like polish to it or whatever. But the default settings, like, damn, it's so annoying that's in here. I hope that's not in the actual, I don't think it's in the actual song. It's not, because I remember, I don't remember if it was this song or a different song, so I'd imagine it was this song. But the default settings on this would overcorrect. So if there was a bend in a note, instead of all the not notes in between, it's like, that's not in key, so it just like cuts that out. So it's like and jumps to the next note in the scale. So like going through this is like, that's not supposed to happen. We want it to be a natural bend. So like on this section, just don't put the plugin on. So I wonder if for stems and like exporting it to send it to me, if that plugin is just on and it's not automated to turn off for this. See, he did that for the mix, because that's, I don't think that's in there in the actual mix, but to hear this with that effect on it, not good. I do not like how that plugin altered this vocal, because we even posted a video of him doing this live in studio. He sang this. He did not sound like, he didn't sound like that at all. Damn. Well, I wish I had the raw so you could actually hear it. So then these gang vocals in the background. This melody was originally what Cody had for the chorus when we were just kind of like humming ideas around back and forth, sitting down to write the chorus. It was like, like, that's really good. I like that. And then we tried writing lyrics to that, and then we're like, this doesn't really fit the chorus. But it was good, so I'm like, let's hang on to that for another song. But then when we got to here, we're like, what should we add to this post-chorus extension part? Like, wait, why not use that melody that you wrote for the chorus, because it's catchy, it's in the same tempo and key, and we're gonna write new lyrics anyway, so like, let's just do it. So we kept his melody and then just changed and added some new lyrics. But just like a bunch of Cody and harmonies, layers together. Put that in the background. I really like how it changes to ride on the drums. And then goes to crash. Then on this part, this percussion's going on in the background. Oh, it's gotta come way up. I love the drum. That loop is going. Then we got these strings, but there's more melody in the strings. Hate that pumping sound. And then we got these synths still. Oh yeah, and I cut this other synth from this part of the chorus. I think it was just because I wanted this next section to be big, so I didn't want it to be the exact same thing. And then, because you just heard it here, I didn't want it to all of a sudden just be the same thing but in the background, so I went a few bars without it, so then it would come back in and feel cooler. But if you have all these tracks going underneath, I think it sounds kind of pretty. And then if you took those away, like,
I'm finally accepting the that every single day you will find a way to make it through. To make it, finally accepting the that every single day you will find
it's like, add in those tracks again.
I'm finally accepting the that every single day you will find a way to make it through. It's time that we all face the truth.
I like that melody change too.
A way to make it through.
Go lower instead of high. And these harmonies were always super loud. I still think they're a little loud in the actual mix too.
It's time that to make it through. It's time that we all face the truth.
In the actual song, these are cut, so it's just one of Cody vocal over the guitar riff.
All face the truth.
But we didn't want to have that we didn't want to have that again, because that would have been the exact same thing you've already heard, but without anything. It was boring. So all we did was add a pedal on the hi-hat.
You need to pause. You need to break down all of the walls you built to keep the world down. Just believe.
And then did the same thing we did for Bloodshot, where it's the riff at the end of the song, but then on the second half of the riff, you slow down the snare count to make it feel like a breakdown, even though it's the same thing. And I love the timing of those kicks. Love that. I wish it was a little more audible in the mix. And then that's how the session ended. But for the actual master, we were like, end it. Like, and all right, so that is Face It. Long stream today. Gotta eat and all that good stuff. Hydrate. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll be back next week. I think we have Taylor Adsit from Allura, one of my buddies, scheduled for the podcast. So if there's any updates, I'll give you guys updates, and then we'll get into a podcast with him, hang out, and yeah, appreciate you guys. Peace.